Well, good morning, everyone. I think we are good to start now. Good morning on behalf of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in the UK. I'd like to give you all a very warm welcome to this workshop on the topic how to measure and interpret your organization gender pay gap. Just a quick disclaimer that we will be recording the session and it will be shared with all the attendees just following the webinar. Today, we are delighted to join Raquel Barrera. She's the founder of Diversitas Institute. Diversitas is a company specialized in designing and carry out EDI plans. This includes an assessment of the organization's EDI approach through quantitative and qualitative data, just as what we are addressing today, the measure and analysis of the gender pay gap, the definition of strategic goals, the setting up of policies and procedures, and the provision of specific training around this topic. I'm pleased to say that today we have with us an expert in this matter, Raquel. She's founder of Diversitas and board member of the Spanish Chamber in the UK, where she leads our EDI strategy. She has an engineering BSc in telecommunications and a background as an independent consultant for more than 15 years, working mainly in business strategy, change management, and transformation through innovation. Since 2017, she has been a leader in equity, diversity, and inclusion from a business perspective. She advocates and preaches EDI in the workplace and is an expert in accompanying organizations from a broad variety of sectors and sizes on that journey. We hope you enjoyed today's workshop and session. And if you have any questions, please do submit them in the Q&A section we have here in the Zoom app. We will be answering everything at the end. So now, Raquel, over to you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anita. Thank you for having me today. And thank you all the attendees for sharing this hour with us. I hope you can see the presentation now. I guess, Alicia, you can.
It looks okay. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So today we will talk about the gender pay gap, and what is more important is not just what the gender pay gap is, but how to measure it and how to interpret the organization's gender pay gap. There we go. So let's start with the aims of the session. When we talked about having this workshop, the main aim of the session in that case was that there is some confusion around what the gender pay gap is. The first aim then of this workshop is then to provide a deeper understanding of the gender pay gap. As you probably may know, in the UK, all companies with more than 250 employees are required to report their gender pay gap. This reporting is based on a specific measure that we will discuss in this workshop later. The gender pay gap is important to understand that this is more than just a statistic, right? It actually serves as an indicator of structural systemic issues within our society. If we talk in a medical context, for example, the gender pay gap would be like a fever, right? It is then, so the fever is not the root cause itself, but a symptom. So the gender pay gap in this case is a symptom. So to effectively address and reduce the fever or the gender pay gap, it is then essential to delve into its underlying causes. So today we are going to delve into the various factors behind the gender pay gap, and we're going to offer tools to measure and interpret your organization's gender pay gap. And finally, the final aim of the session would be providing some insights on how to bridge the gap, how to close it. Okay, so as we were saying at the beginning, we will talk today about what the gender pay gap is. Then we will see how to measure the gender pay gap, how to interpret the results of the gender pay gap, and finally, how to reduce the potential gender pay gap. Just a quick note, although some statistics will be explained today, it is not the aim of the session to overwhelm you with methodology and statistics used to calculate the gender pay gap. But it's more about providing some tips on how to interpret it, because let's say a one-size-fits-all approach is not the right one, right? Okay, let's go. Let's start with the definition of gender pay gap. It is very important to understand that gender pay gap is not unequal pay. Unequal pay or pay discrimination is the unjustifiable difference in the individual earnings of a particular woman and a particular man doing equal work or work of equal value. That's unequal pay, which, by the way, is illegal. Gender pay gap is a measure of the labor market or workplace disadvantage expressed in terms of comparison between women's and men's average earning. Okay, so unequal pay is not the same as gender pay gap, but unequal pay can be one of the factors or one of the causes of gender pay gap. Okay? We won't talk about unequal pay, but in this workshop we will discuss all the factors, all the systemic structural factors that cause the gender pay gap. As I mentioned before, the gender pay gap is a symptom, right? It's a symptom of a broader systemic issues within our society. Companies are part of society, therefore companies have the same broader systemic issues as society. In the Diversitas Institute, we have identified 5 main causes that significantly impact on the gender pay gap. And we have developed a methodology that allows us to explain which of these 5 causes and in what way are contributing to the potential gap in organizations. And we're going to talk about them straight away. Right. Let's start with the first cause, unpaid work. When we're talking about unpaid work, we are talking about family care, so children care, elderly care, special needs individuals care, and household work. That's unpaid work. So, as women have increasingly joined the paid labor force for the last, let's say, 50, 60 years, men have not done the same with a comparative increase in unpaid work, so in care or household activities. The result is that women have simply increased the total work time, the paid work time and the unpaid work time. So when the number of hours spent in paid and unpaid work are combined, women's working days are longer than men's. Here you have a graph, a picture from the Office for National Statistics. These are data from 2015. So according to the Office for National Statistics in the UK, women carry out an overall average of 60% more unpaid work than men. And in this picture, you can see that women spend on average more hours of unpaid work per week than men in all the age categories. Okay, so gray is women, blue is men, in all of them. That's the situation in the UK. Let's follow with the second factor, the factor of part-time versus full-time. Let's say that as a result of the previous one, as a result of the unpaid work factor, and this inequality in the time spent in caring activities or other unpaid work, women tend to choose, choose to work part-time. Obviously, working less hours has an economic impact on women. But on top of that, part-time jobs are typically worse paid than the full-time ones. And that's true even when we look at the hourly wages. So how much are you paid per hour? The part-time jobs as well have fewer progression in terms of promotion and or professional development. So let's say that working part-time is not good from the economic perspective. Again, in the UK, these are data from last year. According to the Office for National Statistics, in 2023, 34.7% of women in employment were working part-time. In the case of men, this percentage is 14%. Okay, so obviously more women are working part-time than men. Let's go to the third one, the so-called motherhood penalty. Recent studies and reports show that mothers appear to suffer what is called a motherhood penalty, a wage penalty, whereas fathers in the same situation seem to be rewarded with a wage premium. Why? Why is that? So the first thing we have to take into consideration is that women face longer market interruptions when they have children. Another aspect is that mothers choose to work fewer hours in part-time works, as we mentioned before, which are also worse paid, or they tend to work in full-time jobs, but lower paid, but with better work-life balance conditions. And the third thing to take into consideration is that being a mother still means not having the same opportunities in recruitment or promotion and professional development. Some figures again. So this is part of an analysis by the Institute for Fiscal Studies that found that most of the gender pay gaps can be traced to motherhood. So the average earnings of men and women are more or less unaffected by parenthood, but in the case of men, but in the case of women, the earnings fall sharply after the birth of the first child. As a remarkable find, for example, this is the time. These are the years after birth of the first child. So, for example, 7 years after, let's see, more or less here, 7 years after the birth of the first child, women's earnings are on average less than half of men's. And as we can see on the slide, the gender pay gap is around 10%. You can see it here, before the birth of the first child, and widens to around the 30% when the child is aged 13. Here you can see as well in terms of age. So in the 18 to 21 years old category, there is no gender pay gap, but it goes up significantly around 30 years old. That is usually the category of age when people who decide to be parents have their first child. So as a summary, we would say that the gender pay gap starts and never comes back to zero again. Okay. Right. Let's go to the fourth factor, the occupational segregation. Occupational segregation means that in terms of occupation, women are more likely than men to be working in administrative or secretarial occupations or in care or in leisure or sales or customer service occupations. What happened with these occupations? These occupations are lower paid compared with the ones where men are more likely to be working. Again, some figures, for example, by occupations. Here you are. This is again from the last Office for National Statistics last year. The gap, sorry, you will see here, all the occupations, this is the gender pay gap. All occupations have gender pay gap, all. The gap is larger in occupations like skilled trades or process plant machine operatives. Particularly, for example, on skilled trades, the percentage of women working in these occupations is very low as well. The gap is smaller in, as you see, administrative, caring, or sales, but still there. And in this case, for example, caring, the percentage of women is 72%. In terms of industry...
Está muy bien para freír. No tiene nada que hacer.
Ya se me acabó la reunión.
Hi, sorry, Alicia.
We have news from Unicaja. They sent months ago a letter to Bank of Spain saying that they were closing the London office.
I don't know if...
Sorry.
That's all right. Okay, by industries. We can see here that, again, all industries present gender pay gap, all of them. And even the ones where the percentage of employees that are women is higher, for example, like here, health and social work, 72% of the employees in these industries are women, we still have a gap of around 10%. Okay, there's lots of information, okay, but it's just to have a first picture of everything. And let's go to the last one, which is the vertical segregation. Vertical segregation means that the percentage of women in decision-making positions or in higher positions into companies is lower than men's. So the typical situation is that more women are getting stuck at the organization's entry level, and there is a sort of talent pipeline leak through the path towards leadership position, which creates this sort of funnel shape in organizations. So here I have some data from the pipeline report from last year as well. So according to this report, the number of women in executive leadership positions within the FTSE 350 companies is currently experiencing a good growth in terms of percentage of women. And in the past 5 years, has surpassed a significant 30% threshold for the first time. However, we have to, the devil is in the details. The less favorable news about this percentage is that the number of women at the executive committee level is not being driven by more women in positions of decision influence, but on more functional roles, for example, HR, marketing, or legal. So in a way, women continue to be excluded from roles that often have, let's say, a greatest influence in organizations. And finally, another figure is only 9% of chief executive officers are women. Okay, so please keep this picture in mind because we will return to it later. Okay, this picture of the 5 factors behind the gender pay gap. Let's go now to a more technical side of the presentation. That is how to measure the gender pay gap. As we mentioned before, the UK's gender pay gap reporting is a legal requirement. for all companies with more than 250 employees. And the key measures to report are the mean gender pay gap. We will talk about them in a minute. The median gender pay gap, the mean bonus pay gap, the median bonus pay gap, the bonus pay proportions, and the quartile pay maps. Let's start with the mean and the median gender pay gap. So the mean gender pay gap is the difference, as we said before, between the average pay of men and the average pay of women in every organization. So to calculate it, you have to sum up all the hourly rate of men and divide it by the number of men. Then you will have the mean of male hourly pay. And then again, you have to sum up all the hourly rate of women and divide by the number of women. And the pay gap is the difference between the male and the female in terms of percentage. Vale? Okay. The median gender pay gap is a different measure. The median gender pay gap, again, is the difference between the middle point, the middle pay of men and the middle pay of women. So to find it, you have to list all men's hourly pay in order from the minimum to the maximum and find the middle one. And you have to do the same with the women's. And the pay gap, again, is the difference between these two median. I said before that I didn't want to overwhelm you with all the calculations. You will have all these formulas back again, and all the presentation, they will be sent it to you. So don't worry too much about that. But I think it's important to understand the why we are measuring the mean and the median. So again, the mean gender pay gap is looking at the average earnings, while the median looks at the middle point of earnings. So both measures are useful, but they can tell, let's say, slightly different stories about income distribution and can be also influenced by different factors. So the key point here is to read them both in a combined manner. Why? Because the mean can be affected by extremely high or extremely low salaries, because the mean takes all the salaries into account. So if we have a situation like this one, so these are the earnings from salaries, okay, from less to more. So here we will have the minimum salary, and here we will have the maximum salary. And here we have the number of employees that perceive these salaries from 0 to whatever is the maximum amount. This could be the typical situation that we don't have extremely high or extremely low salaries. So the distribution is quite uniform. In this case, the mean and the median should be the same or around the same value. What happens when we have more, or a group of, let's say, men in this case, that are earning more money than the rest of the organization? That means that the mean, okay, can be affected by that. And in this case, the mean is higher than the median. The other way around, if we have more people in the low salaries zone, the mean would be lower than the median. Okay. Next things you have to report: the mean bonus gap and the median bonus gap. Again, the mean bonus gap is the difference between the average bonus paid to male relevant employees and that paid to female relevant employees. Relevant employees are all employees in the organization. I forgot to say that before, but when we calculate the mean and the median gender pay gap, is only for full pay relevant employees. Okay, so these are for all employees receiving full pay, whereas the bonus is for all relevant employees. So all employees employed, can be contract of employment, contract to do work, or provide services, apprentices, self-employed, etc. In any case, it's the same formula that the median and the mean and the median gender pay gap. And the next thing you have to report is the bonus proportion. The bonus proportion is all the people that receive bonus, all the employees that have a bonus, which percentage are women and which percentage are men. Okay, this is bonus proportions. Next, you have to report the proportion of male and female in each of the quartile pay bands of your organization. So from the lower pay band to the upper pay band, how many women and men are in each of these quartiles. Again, don't worry too much, you will have this information. Let's go to the important thing here is, okay, we have all these numbers, all these calculations, we have an Excel, or we have someone who can calculate all this information, and now we need to interpret it. So let's put this example here. Imagine you have let's say a mean gender pay gap of 20%. What does that figure mean? This means that for on average, for every 100 pounds a man is earning, a woman is earning 20% less, so is earning 80 pounds. That's what 20% mean gender pay gap means. As I said before, you have to report the mean gender pay gap and the median gender pay gap. The mean gender pay gap, again, is the overall indication of the size of the gap, whilst the median is an indication of the typical situation. So if we have a mean and a median that are the same or similar, this is an indicative that your data set is not skewed. So the distribution of earnings is quite uniform. You don't have exceptions, or you don't have groups earning a lot, or a big group earning very low earnings. What happens when the mean is higher than the median? The mean is higher than the median. It means that you have a group of very high earners. We will see an example later, okay? In this case, it will be a group of men earning much more than women. And on the contrary, when the mean, here we go, is lower than the median, we have the presence, we are affected by the presence of very low earners, okay? How can we interpret the percentage of women earning bonus, okay? So again, as I said before, you have to, so from all the employees that are receiving earning bonus, you have to indicate what's the percentage of women and what's the percentage of men. So once you have these figures, you have to ask yourself why. So the questions would be, first, what's your bonus policy? Is your bonus policy, does your bonus policy discriminate part-time employees? So is bonus paid only to full-time employees, for example? Another question you can ask yourselves is, do all the departments or all the occupations in your organization receive bonus? Or, I don't know, just the sales department is receiving bonuses? Because that could be the factor of the occupational segregation could be playing a part here, okay? Or all the positions in your organization receive bonuses, or just the higher positions? So that could be, again, an indication of vertical segregation. So once you answer these questions, you could have a pretty good idea of why there is a difference in the percentage of women and men earning bonuses. And the last measure you have to report is the percentage of men and women in the 4 different quartiles or pay bands in your organization. So how many women and how many men are on the lower one? How many women and men in the lower middle, upper? If you have something similar to this, you can see this like a pyramid here, where the percentage of women decreases when we go up. This would be an indication of vertical segregation for glass pyramid. Okay. Results in the UK. What's going on in the UK? In the UK, the median hourly gender pay gap for all employees was 14.3% in 2023. So again, this means that on average, for every, let's say, 100 pounds an hour a man is earning, a woman earns 85.7. This is the median, okay? So we are not even taking into consideration exceptions. So no, we are not taking into consideration high income earners. In 2023, 79% of reporting employers said that the median hourly pay was higher for men than for women. Okay, so 79% of organizations report that men are earning more than women, according to the gender pay gap. Only 8% stated that the median hourly pay was the same for women as men. Okay. Right. So we have talked about what are the measures you need to report. But here I would like to say something about that. The first thing is, obviously, when we measure the mean and the median hourly pay, in a way, we are hiding the impact of people who work part-time or people that work reduced hours, less hours. Okay. And as we said before, this has an economic impact. So we recommend always to calculate the mean and the median total pay as well. It's not mandatory, you don't have to report it, but it will give you information about the impact of people that are working part-time or reduced hours that are usually women. So again, when you measure the total gender pay gap here and compare it with the hourly one, if it's the same or almost the same, it means there is no difference in part-time or reduced hours. But if the total is higher than the hourly, that's an indication that more women than men are working part-time or reducing hours. And on the contrary, if it's less, that means that more men than women are working part-time. Right. Let's have an example. Well, let's look at this example. This is imagine company which has a mean total wage gender pay gap of 25%. Okay, so here what we are doing is we are comparing the total earnings of men and women in a company, not the hourly, the total. And we have a 25%. What does that mean? It means, as we said before, that for every 100 pounds a man is earning, a woman is earning 75. Let's go for the mean hourly pay. So now let's have a look at how much per hour are women and men earning and compare it. So we have a 22%. So there's a 3 points of difference here. That means that in this case, 20% is lower than 25. We have in this organization women working less hours, either because they are working part-time or because they are working reduced hours. Okay. So remember the picture we talked about at the beginning? This situation is telling us that probably your organization is being affected by these first three factors. So women are working probably, more women, sorry, are working probably part-time than full-time. And maybe because, you know, they have caring responsibilities, or because they've been mothers, or, you know, that this could be an indication of the influence of these three factors here. Okay, this was the mean hourly pay, and remember, now we're going to measure the median hourly pay. Oops, which is the typical, the middle point. As you can see, the median hourly pay is lower than the mean. What does that mean? That means that our data is skewed because we have a group probably of very high earners, men, here. Remember the factors? That could be an indication of vertical segregation. That could be an indication that there are more men in leadership positions, therefore earning more than women. Okay, now let's have a look at the mean bonus gender pay gap again. This 38% means that for every 100 pounds a man is earning in bonuses, a woman is earning 38% less. So a woman is earning 62 pounds in bonuses. Again, the median. As you can see, the median is lower than the mean. That again would mean that we have a group of very high earners, men. So there's a percentage of men earning more in terms of bonuses. And that can be caused by two causes, by vertical segregation, or occupational segregation, or both. So in this company, what could happen is that only men in certain occupations are receiving bonuses. Let's say, for example, the sales department is there are no women in the sales department. So, and the sales department is the one that is receiving bonuses. That's occupational segregation. Or that the targets for bonuses are different between men and women. And another factor could be the vertical segregation again. Maybe the bonuses are paid only to the top quartile, top positions or management positions. And if in these positions are more men than women, we would have this difference explained. Okay, the next one, percentage of women and men earning bonuses. Imagine this case, 30% of women, 30% of the people who are earning, having bonuses are women, 70 are, this is wrong, this is men, okay? It's a mistake here. Okay, again, that could be an indication of occupational or vertical segregation. Last one, the distribution of men and women on the 4 different quartiles from the lower up to the upper one. So if we have this shape here, like a staircase, this is an indication, clear indication of vertical segregation. Just something to talk about. If you had something like that, imagine an organization that has 10% women and 90% men at the base, and 10% women and 90% men at the top. Would that be considered vertical segregation? The answer is no. No, because even the percentage of women is very low, is the same in the base that in the upper quartile, okay? Vertical segregation is the decrease in the percentage as we go up. Okay. So we have seen what the gender pay gap is. We have seen how to measure it and how to interpret it. the last thing would be, okay, we know what the gender pay gap in our organization is. We know what are the causes behind, and now how we can reduce the gender pay gap. Again, the question you have to make yourselves is why, and why in each of the different aspects or factors that have impact in your gender pay gap. So I don't know, if you see that the part-time versus full-time is one of the main factors, you should ask yourselves why women are working more part-time than men. Or if you have occupational segregation, again, why there are more women in the HR department and not many in the technical department. What can you do about it? Or why women are not present in top leadership positions. That could be an indication of vertical segregation. So again, as I said before, the one-size-fits-all approach is not correct because the factors in every organization will be different, and the way these factors impact in the gender pay gap will be also different. Just to finish, key takeaways, okay? First one, the gender pay gap, again, is a symptom, okay, of broader systemic issues. It's just a figure, it's just a number. And without context, it doesn't mean anything. So you need always to go to interpret and go behind the factors, explore the factors that are behind the gender pay gap. Second, the one-size-fits-all is not the right approach, as I said before, because every organization is different. The third takeaway is that it is essential to interpret the results and to identify what are the causes, what are these factors behind your organization's gender pay gap before putting any plan into place. And the last one is, in order to reduce your organization's gender pay gap, it's very important to have a strategic approach. Okay, and because as I said, we said before, gender pay gap is an indication of broader and systemic issues. So yeah, that would be it. In the presentation that we were gonna send you, we will send you as well all the references. And please, if you need anything, any questions, doubts, and please feel free to contact me. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. I regularly put some articles or studies or reports in my LinkedIn account. So yeah, that would be pretty much all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raquel. Thank you very much. I think it was a fantastic session. We have now like a little bit more of 10 minutes for some questions. I'm going to kick off with this one, like, can the gender pay gap be negative? And what would that mean?
That's a very good question. Absolutely, yes. The gender pay gap can be negative. What would that mean? Let's go to the formula. Well, I'm telling you the answer right now. That would mean that the women are earning more than men. Okay, that would be the explanation. Here we go. Let's go to the formula. So if women are earning more than men, the mean would be higher than this one. So let's say, I don't know, men is earning 80 and women are earning 100. We will have here a minus 20, okay? So a negative gender pay gap means that women are on average earning more than men. That's the answer. Yeah. Thank you.
And I'm going to mix two that we have here. You say that there's reporting obligations here in the UK. Do you know if there are reporting obligations in other countries as those in the UK? And where do we have to report that gender pay gap?
Yes, I'm gonna stop sharing just a second because I'm gonna look for them. How should I do that? Well, I'll find it somewhere. So yes, in the UK, you have to report it in the government website. I will share it to you in a minute. I know the case of Spain, for example. In Spain, all the companies with more than 50 employees need to have a gender equality plan in place. And as part of the gender equality plan, they need to report the gender pay gap in detail for every different aspect of the salary. And as I said before, let me just share that with you. This is we can send it as well. That's the gender pay gap service, okay? Where you can look at any company, it's public, any company gender pay gap, and not just the gender pay gap, but sometimes even the explanation, the narrative, okay? So it's here where you need to report it.
We had another question. Candela asked, what measures can decrease this percentage?
What, sorry, measures?
Measures can decrease the percentages of the gender pay gap, the ones that you were presenting?
Okay, again, it depends on every organization. So for example, if you have an organization that the main cause of the gender pay gap is that there are no women in leadership positions, if you increase the percentage of women, or if you change the promotion procedures of your organization to encourage women to get promoted, you will probably decrease the gender pay gap. Okay? It always depends on the cause of the gap. And it's usually a combination of different factors. So you need to see where to put the efforts, because sometimes if you put the efforts in a place that it's going to have an impact on the gender pay gap, you will have an impact. So yeah, again, depending on your organization's situation or factors behind.
We have another one. If the gender pay gap is a symptom of wider systemic and social inequalities, are there any laws addressing it directly going to be effective? And what other wider issues in society do you think need to be addressed to help close the pay gap?
Very good question as well. Yes, there are some laws in place, and for example, the obligation of having more than 30% of women leadership in executive positions in the European Union, and as this person was asking, because it is systemic, structural approach. For me, one crucial aspect is the question of care. Okay. And I think this is absolutely crucial because addressing sharing the caring activities to men and women is going to have an impact, I'm sure, in the gender pay gap in the long run. Because obviously there's something is happening outside of the organization that has an impact. But no, there's something, many things can be done. And I would like maybe here to say that sometimes in organizations with the best of the intentions, some of the work-life balance measures are sort of focused on women. And I think this is a mistake. Okay. So yeah, I think the question of care is going to be one of the aspects in the future. Yeah, in the future. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think we don't have more questions, but we have a little time if you want to type something. No? So, well, anyways, we will be sharing Raquel's details as well as the presentation or the recording to all the attendees after this workshop. Thank you again, Raquel and Diversitas, for collaborating with us this morning. And thank you to all the attendees that joined this morning and the ones that are going to receive the slides later. Well, just to finish, we do have members and non-members here in this workshop, so feel free to reach any colleague of the chamber or take a look at the website to know more about us. And thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Raquel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.